It was just past 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning when the soft hum of the town started stirring to life. At Patriot Tactical, a sleek glass-fronted gun shop nestled at Arrow 904, the sunlight filtered through tall windows, casting angular gold lines over polished floors and meticulously displayed weapons. The scent inside was distinct, a mix of well-oiled machinery, burnt coffee from the staff pot, and age-old wood polish that clung to the antique gun cabinets. Mitch Daniels stood behind the counter, leaning back in a posture that spoke of comfort and routine. He wore a faded gray t-shirt that clung tightly to arms still solid from his Marine days. A tattoo peeked out from beneath his rolled sleeve, a symbol that had once commanded immediate respect. Around him stood 5 regulars, all past their prime but proud of their military history, easily identifiable by their unit-branded caps and the way they carried themselves. Their morning ritual was in full swing. Mitch was halfway through recounting a tale about a rookie who'd once loaded blanks during a night drill, much to the amusement of the squad. Laughter rolled in low waves, seasoned by years of shared service and mutual understanding. It was the kind of camaraderie that made the outside world feel distant. Then the bell above the door chimed. None of them turned. New faces weren't unusual, and most turned out to be first-timers looking for home defense tips or amateur hunters eyeing a new piece of gear. But this time, something was different. She walked in quietly, yet with intention. Jeans, navy button-down, no jewelry, no makeup. Hair tied in a practical ponytail, a small notepad in one hand. She didn't interrupt. Instead, she moved with quiet precision, studying the rifles on the wall like they were more than just metal and polymer. Her fingers brushed over a Daniel Defense M4. She lingered at a spotlighted MK-12 SPR. She tilted her head slightly, as if listening. Johnson, the loudest of the crew, cracked another joke about a guy who once asked if suppressors needed batteries. The group laughed harder. Mitch grinned. Only Calvin, the Navy corpsman who rarely said much but saw everything, noticed the woman. Her posture, her observation skills, her quiet control. Eventually, she approached the counter, not pushing into the circle, just standing close enough to be noticed. Mitch looked over, nodding politely. "Can I help you with something, miss?" She handed him a printed sheet. "I'm looking for a custom barrel for a MK-12 SPR, threaded for a surefire SOCOM suppressor, 1 in 7 twist, match grade." Mitch blinked. "Pretty specific. You getting this for your husband?" "No," she said. "It's for me." That earned a ripple of snickers. Johnson leaned forward, eyebrows raised. "MK-12, huh? What are you, building a sniper loadout from Call of Duty?" "Watch one YouTube video and suddenly you're an operator." Another chimed in from the back. Anna didn't flinch. She simply retrieved her notepad, slid it into her back pocket, and waited. She didn't meet the jokes with a smile, nor did she show irritation. Her silence, controlled and still, seemed to compress the air around her. Mitch offered her paper back with a patronizing grin. "Look, no offense, but what you're asking for isn't a weekend warrior setup. It's mission-ready gear. Maybe bring the guy who'll be using it." "I know what I need," she replied, her voice even, "and I'm ready to pay for the customization." "Sure," Mitch said, raising a hand. "But money's not the issue. You have to know how to handle this kind of rifle. That SPR needs a serious shooter. Most folks wouldn't even know how to clean a gas block." Another wave of laughter. One man even pantomimed rocking a rifle like a newborn. Anna's jaw clenched, just barely. She reached for the spec sheet, and in doing so, a sliver of metallic glint flashed from under her shirt. Dog tags. Nobody caught it, except Calvin. His chuckle faded. He frowned, glancing at her again. Something about her stillness struck him. She had the quiet of someone trained to wait, not out of fear, but discipline. "Maybe check out the airsoft shop down the road," Mitch said. "They might have something more your speed." Anna held his gaze, Calm, steady. Then, "Thanks for your time." She slipped the spec sheet into her pocket and turned. The bell above the door gave its soft, parting chime. Behind her, the men roared with laughter. "Cosplay or something," one muttered. "You see how she held that rifle like it was going to bite." Mitch went back to cleaning a Glock 19. Calvin stood silent by the ammo shelf, box in hand, staring out the window. He hadn't laughed. Something didn't sit right. Anna hadn't raised her voice, hadn't argued. She didn't need to. But her presence left a residue in the air, and the shop hadn't felt the same since she walked out. At precisely 10:26 a.m., the bell above Patriot Tactical rang again. Mitch, mid-sentence and still basking in the glow of his own punchline, looked up casually, expecting another walk-in. Instead, a young man entered the store with a quiet intensity. Short buzz cut, tactical boots, coyote brown pants and a navy shirt, a golden trident patch above his heart. No name tag, no rank, just presence. He walked to the very spot where Anna had stood. The bell rang again. Another man entered, dressed the same, then another, and another. 6 men in total. They formed a line in front of the counter, evenly spaced, silent. The shop, which moments ago had echoed with jokes and chuckles, now stood frozen. The only sound was the low hum of the overhead lights. Calvin turned away from the ammo shelf, eyes wide. His instincts fired. Something big was about to unfold. Mitch blinked. "Can I help you fellas with something?" The second man from the left stepped forward and laid a folded paper on the counter. Mitch unfolded it slowly. His smile dropped. Same paper, same specs. Anna's specs. He looked up at the 6 men. They didn't move, didn't blink. Their boots didn't shuffle. Their eyes didn't wander. The 5th man adjusted his stance ever so slightly, the kind of shift trained men make when they're used to walking into dangerous rooms. Calvin saw Mitch's fingers drift toward the edge of the counter, gripping it like an anchor. No one said a word. They didn't need to. Then the bell rang again, and Anna walked in. She wore her Navy service khakis. Her collar bore the rank insignia of a lieutenant commander, and the warfare qualification badges shimmered under the shop's fluorescent lights. Her hair was pinned up in a regulation bun. Her stride was firm, her presence magnetic. The 6 men shifted as one, parting to create a path to the counter. Nobody said a word. Mitch's complexion drained. Johnson took a step back. No one laughed. No one dared. Anna stopped directly in front of the counter. She looked at Mitch, voice calm and clear. "Lieutenant Commander Anna Carter, I oversee procurement and equipment readiness for SEAL Team 5. The silence grew heavier. She gestured lightly toward the rifles on display. "Your shop was recommended to us. Reputation for precision work, attention to detail. That's why I came here first." Mitch opened his mouth, then closed it again. He had nothing. "The order I placed was for mission-critical components, suppressor threading, twist specs, compatibility. I wasn't testing your expertise. I was giving you an opportunity." Behind the counter, Johnson studied a holster rack with sudden interest. Calvin didn't move. Anna turned to one of the SEALs, who stepped forward and placed 6 rifles on the counter, cleared, stripped, matching the same setup she had requested earlier. "We've placed over $300,000 in parts and custom work with suppliers in the Southeast last fiscal year," she said. "We prioritize veteran-owned businesses, local, skilled." She placed a business card on the glass. "Our new armorer will oversee the order. Thank you for your time." She turned to leave. Mitch found his voice at last. "Lieutenant Commander, I didn't know. I mean..." She paused without turning. "Number." "You didn't, because you didn't ask." She walked out. The bell chimed. The SEALs followed in synchronized silence. The last one paused at the threshold, looking back. "She's not just our equipment officer," he said, voice low. She's a Navy Cross recipient. And before she outranked him, she was married to our commanding officer. He let that settle. Then he turned and left. That night, the shop was silent. The last customer had left hours ago. Patriot Tactical was dimly lit. The overhead fluorescence turned off, leaving only a lone desk lamp, casting a warm cone of light across the counter. Mitch sat on a stool behind the register, elbows resting on his knees, phone clutched in one hand. The business card Anna had left earlier now lay face up beside him. He hadn't moved in over 20 minutes. His eyes occasionally drifted across the room, to the wall of photos showing past Marines, old unit flags, candid snapshots in dress blues, group photos from dusty deployments. One featured him in his prime, arms slung around a brother in arms, both of them smiling through sunburned grit. He used to think the wall spoke of honor, legacy. Now it looked like a mirror he didn't want to face. He rose slowly, boots scuffing the floor, and walked toward the wall. His fingers hovered over a frame before landing gently on one picture from a joint training cycle in Okinawa. Captain Elena Moreno, the first female CO he'd served under. He remembered how he doubted her. Quietly, of course. Never out loud. He'd watched her more closely than he had any male CO. Waited for her to make a mistake. She never had. She'd run the unit with surgical precision. Never raised her voice. Never tried to prove anything. She'd earned respect by embodying it. And still, he remembered thinking, she's good for a woman. He winced. Another memory surfaced. Moreno inspecting gear herself after a near heat casualty during a ruck. She hadn't delegated. She hadn't lectured. She'd just acted. Boots to boots. Soldier to soldier. He hadn't thought about her in years. Until today. He returned to the counter, thumb hovering over the business card. He tapped the number. It rang twice before going to voicemail. Beep. Lieutenant Commander Carter, he began, voice low but steady. This is Mitch Daniels from Patriot Tactical. I just wanted to say... He paused, not because he lacked the words, but because for once he wanted to say them right. I was out of line today. I didn't ask who you were. I didn't listen. I didn't treat you with the respect you'd earned. He looked down at his hands, hands that had once fired weapons in combat, now trembling slightly. I've been in this business for 20 years, served 20 before that. Thought I knew how to read people, but I was wrong about you, about a lot. He glanced around the empty shop. I know saying sorry isn't enough, but I want you to know. I see it now. I see you. A beat of silence. Thank you for your service and for the lesson. He ended the call. The store didn't feel the same anymore. Same racks, same displays, but everything had changed. Mitch walked to the front door and flipped the sign to closed for personal reasons. He turned off the lights one by one, letting the darkness settle over the shelves like a respectful silence. As he passed the frame motto near the entrance, judge not by appearance, but by character, he stopped. He straightened the frame until it hung perfectly level. Then he locked up, not by habit, but with purpose. That night, the shop was silent. The last customer had left hours ago. Patriot Tactical was dimly lit. The overhead fluorescence turned off, leaving only a lone desk lamp casting a warm cone of light across the counter. Mitch sat on a stool behind the register, elbows resting on his knees, phone clutched in one hand. The business card Anna had left earlier now lay face up beside him. He hadn't moved in over 20 minutes. His eyes occasionally drifted across the room, to the wall of photos showing past Marines, old unit flags, candid snapshots in dress blues, group photos from dusty deployments. One featured him in his prime, arms slung around a brother in arms, both of them smiling through sunburned grit. He used to think the wall spoke of honor, legacy. Now it looked like a mirror he didn't want to face. He rose slowly, boots scuffing the floor, and walked toward the wall. His fingers hovered over a frame before landing gently on one picture from a joint training cycle in Okinawa. Captain Elena Moreno, the first female CO he'd served under. He remembered how he doubted her. Quietly, of course. Never out loud. He'd watched her more closely than he had any male CO. Waited for her to make a mistake. She never had. She'd run the unit with surgical precision. Never raised her voice. Never tried to prove anything. She'd earned respect by embodying it. And still, he remembered thinking, she's good for a woman. He winced. Another memory surfaced. Moreno inspecting gear herself after a near heat casualty during a ruck. She hadn't delegated. She hadn't lectured. She just acted. Boots to boots. Soldier to soldier. He hadn't thought about her in years. Until today. He returned to the counter, thumb hovering over the business card. He tapped the number. It rang twice before going to voicemail. Beep. Lieutenant Commander Carter, he began, voice low but steady. This is Mitch Daniels from Patriot Tactical. I just wanted to say... He paused. Not because he lacked the words, but because, for once, he wanted to say them right. I was out of line today. I didn't ask who you were. I didn't listen. I didn't treat you with the respect you'd earned. He looked down at his hands. Hands that had once fired weapons in combat, now trembling slightly. I've been in this business for 20 years. Served 20 before that. Thought I knew how to read people, but I was wrong. About you. About a lot. He glanced around the empty shop. I know saying sorry isn't enough, but I want you to know. I see it now. I see you. A beat of silence. Thank you for your service. And for the lesson. He ended the call. The store didn't feel the same anymore. Same racks, same displays, but everything had changed. Mitch walked to the front door and flipped the sign to closed for personal reasons. He turned off the lights one by one, letting the darkness settle over the shelves like a respectful silence. As he passed the frame motto near the entrance, judge not by appearance but by character, he stopped. He straightened the frame until it hung perfectly level. Then he locked up. Not by habit, but with purpose. Mitch didn't go home. Instead, he walked to the workbench in the back, turned on the overhead light, and unrolled Anna's spec sheet beside a velvet-lined barrel casing. The quiet hum of the shop's old HVAC system filled the silence as he selected his tools with the same precision he once reserved for field work. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't doing it for pride. He was doing it because it was the right thing to do. Hours passed. He polished. He measured. He calibrated. Twice. Then once more. The tension gauge, the bore alignment, the threading. Every detail was inspected under magnification. He used tools he hadn't touched in years, and even fired up the old fitting rig that had gathered dust in the corner. By the time the sun began to rise, a single flawless barrel rested in its case. Everything Anna had requested, down to the micrometer. The bell chimed softly at 8:59 a.m. Anna stepped inside, wearing civilian clothes again, a button-down shirt tucked into clean jeans. Her hair was in a regulation bun, and her demeanor was the same as the day before, calm, focused, and absolutely unreadable. This time, though, the room responded differently. Two customers standing by the ammo shelf stepped back instinctively, making space. No one smirked. No one laughed. Mitch stood straighter behind the counter. Lieutenant Commander, he said, respectfully. Mr. Daniels, she replied. He gestured to the velvet-lined box resting dead center on the glass. I spent the night on this. It's to spec. No charge. Not to fix what I did. Just to do it right. Anna approached and opened the case. Her eyes scanned the barrel with practiced precision. Threads were flawless. The finish immaculate. Tension marks etched exactly where they should be. Her hand ran gently over the surface. This is solid work, she said. Mitch nodded once. I know trust isn't built in a day. I'm not asking for yours. I just didn't want to let it sit. What happened yesterday? That's not who I thought I was. Anna looked at him. Her face didn't soften, but her eyes didn't harden either. Then it's up to you to make sure it's not who you become. The bell chimed again as Thompson stepped in, holding a paper coffee cup. He froze when he saw Anna. Then he straightened. "Lieutenant Commander." She gave a nod. "Thompson." He cleared his throat. "I owe you an apology. I saw the way you stood, the way you moved. I should have known, should have said something." Anna studied him for a moment. "You served?" 24, Marine Corps. "Then you do know," she said. Thompson lowered his gaze. "That's why I regret it." Nobody rushed to fill the silence. It was the kind of pause that let something real settle into the space. Eventually, Anna closed the case and latched it. "This work is excellent," she said, turning to Mitch. "I'll pass it along to our armorer. I won't promise a contract, but I will report your effort." He nodded. "That's all I can ask." As she turned to leave, Thompson stepped aside, standing at parade rest without even meaning to. The bell chimed behind her. Mitch leaned on the counter, tension unwinding. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. Weeks passed, and slowly, Patriot Tactical began to change. The photos on the wall evolved, still proudly displaying unit patches and dusty deployments, but now joined by framed images of women in uniform. Moments captured in combat zones, graduation days, quiet victories. One showed Anna Carter in the field, calm and focused, surrounded by her team mid-operation. It didn't happen overnight, but it was unmistakable. Johnson, once the loudest in the room, had started to change too. He began showing up early to set up targets for SEAL team qualification drills. No more snide remarks, no more jokes laced with condescension. Instead, he focused on the gear, double-checking range distance markers, even helping fine-tune E-type silhouette targets. His stories were different now, no longer punchlines at others' expense. Instead, he talked about precision, discipline, respect. He spoke less, but when he did, it landed with purpose. Mitch watched it all unfold quietly. He listened more, assumed less. When Anna and her team came in for equipment checks or consultations, he didn't interrupt. He paid attention. Anna no longer had to prove herself. She was part of the shop's rhythm now, trusted, respected. One afternoon, while she coordinated a training session in the back room, Mitch approached her with something in hand, a flyer from the local high school. "Career Day," he said. "They asked me to speak about military paths. Thought maybe you'd co-host, talk about your experience. Let the students hear it from someone who knows both the challenge and the opportunity." Anna studied the flyer, then nodded. "That's a good idea. These stories need to be heard." In the days that followed, they worked side by side. Mitch brought old boot camp photos, stories from the Gulf. Anna prepared facts about women in combat roles, hurdles they still faced, and the leadership it took to overcome them. Together, they crafted something real, something that could inspire. The regulars noticed. The conversations at the counter changed. Customers asked about the new pictures, about the new tone, about the shift they could feel. One afternoon, Johnson admitted to Anna, "I didn't get it before, but watching you all work, the way you move, the way you lead, it changed how I see things." Mitch nodded. "It's not about guns or gear. It's about respect for anyone who serves, no matter who they are." By the time Career Day arrived, Patriot Tactical had become something more than just a gun shop. It was a space where stories of service and perseverance lived in the walls, where every visitor, regardless of gender, uniform, or background, was met with dignity. It was just past 10:30 a.m. when the bell chimed again. A young woman entered, maybe early 20s. Hoodie, jeans, hair tied back. She lingered by the door, hesitant, Her eyes scanned the shop slowly. Rows of rifles, training gear, the wall of photos she didn't yet recognize. She looked unsure. Mitch noticed right away. He stepped out from behind the counter with a gentle smile. "Good morning, ma'am. Welcome to Patriot Tactical. What can I help you with today?" She took a breath. "I'm joining the Air Force next month. I thought I should learn the basics before training. Just wanted to ask a few questions, if that's okay." Her voice had that same quiet resolve he'd once seen before. This time, he didn't miss it. "Of course it's okay," Mitch said, motioning her in. "You came to the right place." Anna Carter looked up from the bench at the back. She was inspecting a freshly serviced M4. Hearing the exchange, she set it down and walked over, steady, crisp. "Lieutenant Commander Carter," Mitch said, turning to her. "This young lady's heading off to serve. Figured you might offer a little guidance." Anna extended her hand. "I'd be glad to. What's your name?" "Emily." "Nice to meet you, Emily," Anna replied. "How about we go over a few things you'll want to know before basic? What specialty are you aiming for?" "Combat Systems Officer," Emily said. "It's a long way off, I know." Anna's expression softened. Pride, maybe. Then it's never too early to start understanding the responsibility that comes with it. She led Emily to the training area. Cleared gear was laid out, ready. She pulled a training M9 from the wall and began explaining stance, grip, safety. Her voice was measured, never condescending. Mitch watched from a distance as Emily listened, nodded, asked smart questions. Others in the shop noticed too. No one interrupted. They gave the space its weight. The atmosphere in the shop had changed. Not louder, just deeper. An hour later, as Anna handed Emily a packet of resources and notes she'd prepared herself, the young woman stood taller than when she arrived. "Thank you," Emily said. "I was nervous walking in here, but this helped more than I can say." "You'll do great," Anna replied. "Respect the process, respect yourself, and never stop asking questions." Mitch stepped forward. "When you finish basic, stop back in. We'll have something waiting for you." Emily nodded, eyes shining. "I will." She left. The bell chimed behind her. Anna stood beside Mitch as they watched her go. "She reminds me of someone," he said. Anna smiled faintly. "Maybe that's the point." Mitch looked up at the motto above the door, the same one he'd walked past 1,000 times. Judge not by appearance, but by character. This time, the words didn't feel decorative. They felt earned. Anna followed his gaze. "Well?" "I think we're on the right path," Mitch said. He reached up and adjusted the frame by a 1/4 inch. Sometimes, legacy doesn't arrive with noise. Sometimes, it walks in quietly and leaves everything different behind it. If this story moved you, if it made you rethink judgment, leadership, or the quiet strength it takes to challenge assumptions, then share it. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's true in ways too many people still ignore. Support women in service. Listen before assuming. And above all, respect those who walk the quiet path with purpose. Your voice matters. Use it to uplift those who've earned it.